Hey gang, so following on from last week's lighting tutorial, we're going to have a look at some OSL. OSL is object, source, lighting. This is when you have an object that is giving off light or glow, such as a candle or luminescent cracks in the ground. So going from a very basic viewpoint, you have your light source, like the sun. And if you're super close to the sun, you're gonna have a very bright glow from it. Essentially the same color as the light source. And then the further away you get, the less intense that light source will be. This can either be in brightness, so you can just get darker but keep the same color, or in transparency, depending on the type of lighting you're going for. If you have other lighting, then you'll probably go more towards transparency further away. If you have no other lighting and it's purely lit by the OSL from a candle, say, then I would just gradually make the value less the further from the light source it is. So first example, we're gonna have a guy holding a candle. So I've just drawn a candle real quick, going from the white hot to the yellow, to the orange, and then to the red, or whatever color you're using for your fire. So when you do OSL, you want to think of it in layers. So the closer you are to the light source in this inner circle, this inner sphere, because it's on a 3D plane, is going to have that super high, almost white highlight of the brightest bit of the flame. And then the next sphere out from that is going to have the yellow glow, just on where it can reach outside of that first sphere. And then moving away from that, you have the orange glow. Just so you're moving away, you're decreasing the intensity of the light. Just trying to pick out all the high edges that the light would hit. If you think of this in terms of spheres of light, it is a lot easier than guessing without doing this kind of method, because here you can see where the sphere hits those objects. And then you can keep going out, do as many distance spheres as you want, and going up to whatever value you want. And you can make the layers as small or big as you want. Like, if you wanted this candle to be smaller, you could make these spheres super small, so it only lights up, say, like half of his arm, and then the rest of it is completely unaffected by the candle. So you just want to remember spheres help a lot. And then for this other example, we're gonna go from a crack in the ground. So rather than coming from a singular point, we're gonna go from this crack. Now, because it is a long crack, it's not gonna have the same spherical shape coming off of it, and it is kind of easier thinking of it in terms of rays of light, like these lines that I've drawn projected out. But again, you can still think of it as a sphere. It's just gonna be a bit more of an elongated sphere covering that light source, depending on the shape of the light source. So again, you're just gonna work up through each sphere, getting where it hits the objects above it, or next to it, or below it, or whatever. And you're just gonna add the light where it makes sense, where it's hitting on those sides. If you've watched the other lighting tutorial, this is kind of a follow-up from that. It's just seeing that from different angles that isn't essentially top-down sunlight. This is more concentrated. Lots of people tend to do OSL with an airbrush. It makes it kind of easy. You kind of just shoot the airbrush from the direction of the glow, say the crack in the ground, and you just shoot it upwards towards the mini and see where it hits. You can do this for the lighting as well. We call this a zenithal. When I prime my minis, I prime them black or dark brown or dark purple. And then I do quite a generous white primer from one direction that I want the lighting to come from. It works for OSL, it works for lighting. It's a very useful thing to do. You're going to paint over it so you won't see it, but it's a very useful kind of thing to do. So yeah, you just want to keep working out on these spheres, making them a bit bigger, making the light more transparent or darker the further away it is from the light source. And you should eventually arrive at this kind of nicely lit mini. But yeah, I hope this helped. If you have any questions, let me know. Like, subscribe as usual, and I'll see you on the next stream or tutorial.